It can hardly be said that any of my videos are necessary or important, but even with the incredibly low bar I've set for myself, this video, in particular, does not need to exist. Because nobody holds the opposing view. Even among people who espouse the opposing view, they're doing so for the sake of a rhetorical device or as a thought experiment, or even just to be intentionally inflammatory. But as far as for people who hold the position in earnest, that is exactly nobody. Well, today's nobody is Finntronaut.
So here's the thing, like, I've never gotten pussy in my life. Not once. And I'm 31 years old.
Now, if you're subscribed to me, there's an above-average chance you know who Finntronaut is, or have at least heard some of his works, because if you're going to be aware of a niche extremist anti-SJW YouTuber who peaked in the late 2010s yet still never got big, it's way more likely that you'd know him and not me, yet here you are. And, unlike me, he actually made high-quality content. Some of the stuff of his that you might be familiar with would be Pregnant Trouts, which I think was either commissioned by TLD or at the very least was at some point featured on his channel. He made the intros and outros for Logic, and in regards to his own work, he was, at the time, an extremist libertarian, so we have some Austrian and anti-regulation metal. Now, I have a lot of uncertainty regarding his ideological progression, or what even his current ideological positions are, because most of his content has been removed. Presumably removed by him, though I won't rule out the possibility he was censored by the platform. But the reason I suspect he removed most of his old stuff is because at some point during this progression, I know he became an ex-libertarian. And he either adopted or made more pronounced the fact that he is a vegan-supremacist, anti-natalist incel. And as a current libertarian, I've never been so happy to find out someone stopped being a libertarian.
And, like, I've eventually, like, I used to be very pro women's rights, very leftist, and stuff like that. But like, eventually you kind of just come to the point where you just realize that there's actually a problem. There's actually a problem in society where decent men can't get pussy.
Ooh. Well, I kind of agree with that sentiment, which is dangerous given where this video is going, but sure, hatred and mistrust of men is widespread. It's pervasive in some very critical institutions, including academia and the legal system, and is heavily understated in its severity. Now, one of the consequences of this probably is that men get less pussy than they counterfactually would, but that is not one of the primary concerns that comes to mind when I start thinking about this topic.
Right, and I'm not gonna say that it's a problem that's widespread or anything. Like, I think I'm just fucking strange or whatever.
Oh, well, the kind of problems I was thinking of do affect men, generally. But that doesn't seem to be what you were referring to. You think that you, in particular, have this problem, that women don't fuck you, and that this is a societal issue. Is it not more likely that it's a personal issue if it is exclusively affecting you?
I think I am just strange, and, like, I used to think that it was normal. Like, it was normal to be involuntarily celibate. But, like, after just seeing time after time, other people that I thought were incels, like, just that they had girlfriends, right? They had regular sexual relations. Um, I just realized that, yeah, I just realized that I am strange. I am just fucking strange in my involuntary celibacy.
That's probably true, though involuntary celibacy really isn't a condition in and of itself. It's what you say when someone who wants to have sex can't get sex. And the reason for that is because you have other conditions. Either conditions that make you unattractive, or you lack conditions that would make you attractive. Now, I am no sexpert, but in my limited experience, I have found that women like it when you are nice to them, confident, and make them feel safe. You are an entitled defeatist rape advocate who has previously publicly expressed his approval for the killing of people who weren't vegan.
So basically, like, I will never have access to pussy. Like, I will never have access to pussy in my life unless.
Jesus Christ. The context of that unless makes it really fucked up. But that phrasing, that's still really funny.
Unless, of course, right? Rape is legalized.
Well, that's far from the only option. Let's get the obvious one out of the way. You could rape someone while it's still illegal. Legal systems shift incentives by imposing consequences. I do not think you treat the legal system as a guiding light of morality, and if you are someone who thinks rape should be legal, if you were put in a position where you thought you could get away with rape, you would probably rape someone. Another, less plausible scenario is you cultivate attractive characteristics within yourself. I speculate and, frankly, hope that women avoid you because you're fucked up and evil, but maybe that's not it. Maybe you're just socially awkward and you don't know how to approach them. In which case, that is a skill you can develop. You could also try being not fucked up and evil, but I think the ship might have sailed on that one. And as a final option, you don't need to change anything about yourself. There is quite a breadth to humanity. There exist women out there who will fuck you as you are, as distressing of a notion as that might be to the rest of us. Now, much like you, that describes a vanishingly small minority of people, so you're going to need to incur high search costs in order to find these people. But they do exist. They are out there. God, I wish they weren't.
And yeah, I know what people are thinking. They're thinking like, oh, you can always get a prostitute, right?
You know, that's also an option. And as a function of probability and desirability, it's also the best option. So what is your objection to it?
But I just want to make the point here. Like, I just want to make the point here that, like, that's not fair, right? It's not fair that I have to get a prostitute. I have to pay for sex, while other men get pussy for free, right?
No, in fact, that is not right. There are both monetary and non-monetary costs associated with getting and having sex for men. Physical attractiveness is not free. Do you want to present yourself in a certain way or with a certain aesthetic? Well, you need to be wearing clothes, you need to have groomed yourself in a certain way, you need to have some level of fitness. None of that is free. Finding a partner isn't free. They don't tend to just materialize in your living room, so you do actually need to go out and search for them, and that is not a costless activity. Once you find someone you're interested in, you also need to gain and maintain their attention and affection, which is a series of activities that are also not costless. And let's say you go through all that and you're at the point where you're about to have sex with someone. Did you budget in the risk of them getting pregnant, or you getting a venereal disease from them? What about the risk of you falling in love with them, but them not falling in love with you? Or vice versa? Or you both falling in love with each other, building a life together, and then the risk that you fall out of love with one another and you destroy each other's lives? Maybe you fall in love, build a life together, and stay in love. Guess what? That's costly too. In very real ways, no one has sex for free.
That's discrimination.
You are a vegan. Do you find it unfair that you pay a cost premium in order to get vegan food? You probably do, yet you are willing to pay that cost premium. There exist people who don't need to work, who don't need to pay for their own housing, don't need to do any other number of undesirable activities you probably have to do, yet you are still willing to do those activities. That you find it unfair discrimination doesn't adequately explain why you aren't willing to pay the cost of a prostitute.
That's discrimination against myself, and I don't see it as fair.
That does, in fact, sound fair to me. The women who you want to fuck have the right to exclude you from their body. Likewise, you have the right to exclude people who want to fuck you, but whom you don't want to fuck. Do you think that is 0 people? I bet it's not. Yet you would probably want to discriminate against them. Well, for the sake of argument, let's categorize this kind of discrimination as unfair. What should the legal system do about it? Well, in my humble opinion, I want legal systems to be efficient, by which I am referring to economically efficient. I want them to maximize gains and minimize losses. And a good indication that an interaction is efficient is whether or not it's voluntary. For instance, if you and I are conducting a trade voluntarily, I value whatever you're trading me more than whatever I'm trading away, or else I wouldn't be trading with you, and you value what I'm trading you more than what you're trading away, otherwise you wouldn't be trading with me. Look at that. We're both better off than where we started from. Gains have been made. Now, the situation I described is efficient, Pareto efficient for you nerds out there, but that doesn't mean it's optimal. Maybe there are more gains to be made. Maybe you value what I'm trading so much, and I value what I'm trading away so little, that the most gains, in terms of value, are made if you just steal the thing I have. Now, while this might be true in principle, in reality, a third party, the legal system in this case, does not have the ability to look into our souls and measure the value we put on our respective offers. In terms of comparative value assessments, the best we have access to is something called revealed preference, which is your actions reveal your preferences. And often that is, how much are you willing to pay in order to get what you want? Now, I'm not up to date on the prices of Finnish whores. It's been a while since I've been to Europe. But let's say you could get a whore for $200. Let's compare that to the anguish that you would subject some random woman to if you were to rape her. She's going to value not being raped way more than the not even $200 we can assess you value getting pussy to be worth to you. Even in this simplified two-person model, this is an extremely inefficient transaction, and precisely the kind of thing I want a legal system to dissuade. And if you add more real-world variables to the situation, it only gets worse.
I don't consider myself to be a particularly terrible fucking person or anything.
You should probably change that about yourself. You maybe aren't one of the most despicable people I'm aware of, because to my knowledge you haven't actually acted on any of your fucked up values, but you contain a bunch of fucked up values, And I think you would be better off if you didn't have those. And the first step to not having those is you need to think worse of yourself, because you think way too highly of yourself.
Anything. And that's why, ultimately, I support the legalization of rape. I think rape should be legalized. Because, like, that's the only way I'm ever gonna get on the same level with other men, right? Where I also have access to pussy like they do, right? Access to free pussy like they do.
No, you will not be on the same level as other men. And you will not have access like they do. Because the experience of having sex with someone who consents, who is attracted to you, who is enthusiastic about having this experience with you, who likes you, that is very different from what you would have, which is sex with someone whom you are basically torturing. The fact that another person is being tortured in your scenario doesn't really seem to bother you.
But, like, this video, I want you to take this video as a kind of fuck you. Like, it's just kind of a fuck you. It's a symbol of rebellion. My support for rape, ultimately. And yes, I do support it. Like, I don't want you to get the wrong idea that I don't actually support rape and that I'm just fucking trolling here, right? Like, that's not the point. Like, I do actually support it, right? And at the same time, I recognize that it's not gonna happen because, like, people are fucking scum, right? They are fucking scumbags, right?
Some of them most certainly are.
But, like, yeah, just take it for what it's worth.
Well, what I take it as is public fantasizing. You would like society to change in a particular way, and you wanted to express that desire to an audience, which you did. What I find odd, telling, is that the change you want to make is that you want rape to be legal. Now, if we're just gonna fantasize about shit that's definitely not happening, you could have fantasized about women having different preferences than what they have. You could have daydreamed about you just being the kind of man women find attractive, but you didn't do that. And based on everything else you've said, you really don't seem to think there is a significant difference between the experience of having sex consensually and the experience of having sex non-consensually. And given that consensual sex is an option for you if you were willing to pay for it, but you're not willing to pay for it, all roads seem to lead me to think you actually value the rape and not the sex. You seem like someone who just takes pleasure in the suffering of others. You find niche, unpopular moral positions that most people are not willing to hold, and then when they don't hold those positions, you justify to yourself their mistreatment. This appears to be what you've done with natalists, with carnists, and now, I guess, all women. Now, I'm not optimistic about either your capacity or willingness to change, but I might as well take the shot while I've got the opportunity. There is something I think might be contributing to your current state of mind, because you've gotten worse over the years, from my observation, and it seems like you got worse after this.
I've recently quit drinking, and I'm now going to put that energy I previously put into drinking into working extra hard on these music videos.
Unironically, I think you should resume drinking. Not having the alcohol has thrown off the chemical balance in your brain, and you've gone crazy. Start drinking. Resume alcoholism. And if you have resumed drinking, stop drinking again. Whatever you're doing, you're drinking the wrong amount.
So your support is very much appreciated. And hey, if you can't help monetarily, that's okay too. It's not like I'm going to lock you in my closet.
I don't believe you anymore. Thanks for all the music, Finn. Good luck to all the Finnish women out there. You are in danger.